Yeah, I want to do this before my mom gets back from Bible study. It's her first night doing it, and probably the only night that she and many others will be doing a Bible study. Um, basically be doing a Bible study on a Wednesday because there's a lot going on. Uh, anyway, I want to review something. I tried to review it before, but couldn't do it or anything. So, uh, anyway. I want to talk about basically kind of give my review, kind of try to not to spoil it or anything, but kind of give my review on the total power, the definitive history of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles documentary. Now I will say this, from what I saw, because I saw the whole thing, I thought it was great. I thought it was one of the better documentaries of a franchise that I've ever seen. I mean, give the guys that did this documentary credit for what they did. I mean, they basically spent years and years of footage of basically filming footage and filming interviews with everybody involved that played a major part, if you will, played a major part in the Ninja Turtles franchise. I will give them credit for that. They definitely went the distance with this. And the way they transitioned to different subjects, different important moments involving the TMNT franchise was great. I like the fact that they used a timeline. They basically started in 1984, and then which was kind of like that transitional thing that allowed them to transition to another piece in the documentary. I love how they used the timeline, how it went from basically 84, and it showed everything total related all the way up to one of the more recent posters for the new Ninja Turtle movie that came out in August. I mean, every time they would show a character, they would show them in what they look like in every incarnation, including, like I said, the more recent 2014 movie poster with their hand, which was basically a poster of the hand with the weapon in it. So I did like that. And they did show some things that were part of the Ninja Turtle franchise that didn't get really discussed that much with the timeline. They showed the 2003, they showed Next Mutation, 2007. They showed it all, in a timeline. Now, the things they did talk about was, of course, how the Ninja Turtles first got started. And ironically, it was not in 1984, which everybody looks at. Yes, 1984 is when they came onto the scene, and everybody beyond anybody watching saw the Ninja Turtles, and they were like, "Wow, this is huge. This is tremendous. I love this." Yeah, again, 1984 was the year they came really soaring in and all that, but it was 1983 that the idea and the concept got started, and that was a surprise to me. Because because honestly, it's just one of those things that if you think you're a diehard Ninja Turtle fan, probably surprised you, because I didn't think the concept and the idea started in '83. Like anybody, I thought it was '84. I mean, again, like I said, yes, '84 is when they officially arrived on the scene, but it was '83 when the concept and the idea was formed. So that was really a surprise there. I like how they went with the documentary. I like how they kind of showed the progression of how they went from that concept to having to basically borrow the money to print the copies that they did to get the first issue ever out into the hands of the public. I loved that I loved the progression of how they showed how it happened, how they talked about it, how it went from there, how because it's a success, suddenly you started getting sponsors like Surge Licensing and all these other people involved, and how they went from taking Mirage Studios, which they had just come up with out of the blue, as a name because they were tossing different names around and stuff. How they came up with Mirage Studios out of the blue. Well, not just out of the blue, but just coming up with names for the studio, for the business. And how they went from Mirage Studios being in a house that they shared to being in a building, in an office space in a building, where they started to employ people to help them with the book. I really love that progression. I love how it progressed from there and how they got in touch with Playmates and how they worked with Playmates to bring the Ninja Turtles to the forefront as toys, and how they had to revamp it. How they had to say, look, if you want these toys to come out, you can't just throw them out there. You need to have a story behind these characters. And I like how that led to them contacting Phil Roman and Fred Wolf Film Studios, and getting the first 5 episodes done, which was technically the first season. And then just how they progressed from there, and how it progressed to where Fred Wolf was brought on board when he asked if there was ever going to be more. And it was agreed upon that he would get the rights to do. I'm not trying to give much away. It's just, this documentary is so informative. It shows you things. It shows basically the progression of how far the Ninja Turtles have come. It shows you that progression. It does get a little dramatic at times, and kind of talks about how Kevin and Peter split for a while and stuff, and went their separate ways because, well, of course, distance and things like that. And how I think it was Kevin that kept on board or something. I can't remember. I have to rewatch it, but it's just a tremendous storytelling and great behind the scenes storytelling. Like I said, it's a progression of the Ninja Turtles franchise to what it is today. Just really, really good. Just really, really good. And I just look at this documentary and I think if fans of a franchise can go out of the way and do documentaries like this for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, then it damn sure shows that fans of any franchise can go the distance and do the same. What they did, the people they talked to and interviewed was tremendous. The footage that they got a hold of for this documentary, the interviews they did with the people they talked to was just tremendous. And like I say, the progression, showing how the Ninja Turtles came to be who they are today, how they progressed into getting the series full on, if you will, in 1988-89, and how that progressed to what it was, how the movie came about. I like how they even explained that sometimes when they would be filming in certain areas for the 1990 movie, that because of interference from the certain areas they were in, that interference would cause some of the mechanics of the costumes to go a little haywire. And even mentioning that there are some scenes in the movie to where if you pause it and you slow it down just a little bit and take a real depth, and that if you can look really good, there are certain points that when the turtles open the mouth, you can actually see the person inside. This is stuff, again, you didn't even know about that much. And if you did, it's nothing new to you, but for people that didn't know, it's new to them. And that's what this documentary did. It let us in on things that we didn't even know about. The behind the scenes and all that, it was just amazing. To me, it was just one of the best documentaries I've ever watched based on anything. And again, it shows that if fans of a franchise like Ninja Turtles are willing to go this far to do a documentary on the Ninja Turtle franchise, being able to talk with the people they did, getting the footage they've been able to get, it shows me anybody could do it. It shows me anybody could do it. And I am willing to bet, well, not willing to bet, but I'm willing to hope and believe that there are fans of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers that know, with a movie possibly in the works, or in the works as we speak, they could do the same with Rescue Rangers. I would not be surprised. But again, that's just me. The way I look at it, folks, this is probably one of the best. Again, I know I sound like a broken record. It's probably one of the best documentaries I've seen, and I highly, highly recommend you guys seeing it. If you have not seen it already, see this documentary. You will like it. If you're a true Ninja Turtle fan, you will like it. You'll be surprised. I mean, they even talk how they got involved with Archie Comics and how, Archie Comics was allowed to go off and do their own stories. Just amazing. Amazing. And again, the story of how Playmates played a huge part in the cartoon becoming a reality because they needed backstory for the characters, for the toy line that they were bringing out. And how even after that, and they did more. And even after that, and how Fred Wolf Films were able to get the show continued, how the toys played even more of a role, and how toys of characters that weren't even in the show yet, or even in any form of the franchise yet, came to be. It was amazing. It was just, guys, I cannot say any more about this documentary that you shouldn't know already. That you should know already if you have seen it, but if you have not, you should see it. It will surprise you. It will open your eyes if you're a true Ninja Turtle fan. Now, I will agree with some of the critics on one thing. Some people have criticized it and said that this is not the true definition yet. This is not the ultimate definitive history yet, because they didn't talk about everything. And that is true. I will give credit. I will agree with that. If this was going to be the ultimate, if this was going to be the definitive history of the Ninja Turtles, they should have at least included everything Ninja Turtle related, from not just what they talked about, but include everything. Include things about, they talked about how in Europe they had to take ninja out of the title and put hero because the word ninja was banned in Europe, or is banned in Europe. So, they talked about stuff like that, but I agree they should have talked about more. They should have even brought up the fact that in Japan they had an OVA, a series of OVA episodes based on which featured the Ninja Turtles in the style that they were seen in the United States, but more with an anime feel. The only changes you might have had were maybe a little bit of April's design and, of course, Shredder. But that was it. They should have been able to talk about that. They should have talked about the Japanese OVA. They should have included that to talk about the international scope of the franchise. They should have mentioned more about the second and third movies. They did, and they talked about basically how the third movie was like a restarting point. They should have, in my opinion, talked about Next Mutation and kind of why, let's say, I think who was it, Peter Laird or Kevin Eastman, one of them doesn't like Venus de Milo. They should have been able to talk about that. They should have talked about the 2003 series and basically how far things have progressed now that we have this new Nickelodeon series in the movie. They should have included all that. And I'm hoping they do. I'm hoping they bring out an ultimate definitive version where we get more information. We get basically a lot that probably was cut out for time added on. I hope we get that, and I'm sure we will. So hopefully that does happen. I was hoping maybe they would mention maybe the fact that, because I think they talked to two of the people that created this character, they would talk about maybe how that when they were talking to these two guys, and maybe that'll be put into an ultimate definitive version, who knows. But I was hoping they'd have the two guys they were talking to, I think these were the two guys, talking about how Ninjara came about and how she became a major part of the Ninja Turtle franchise through Archie Comics. You see, to me, I agree that I agree with some of the people out there that there should have been more. They should have talked about everything Ninja Turtle related if this was going to definitely be the definitive history. But I believe more is coming. I think there is another version coming out on DVD down the line. It's going to have everything that was cut out added back in, and possibly even more new stuff that we have never seen before. So I'm looking forward to that. The only thing I can say also that kind of I think a lot of people will be upset about is there's no Blu-ray version. There's a digital version, there's a DVD version, but there's no Blu-ray. And that is disappointing, but hopefully we will get a Blu-ray version should they re-release a more uncut, maybe ultimate definitive version of the documentary. Hopefully that will happen. But we can't say whether or not it will. But if you're looking for a Blu-ray version, there is none right now, but hopefully down the line there will be. And maybe that'll be that ultimate, uncut, definitive version that we want. But besides that, besides those critiques, I will say that this is, again, like I said before, this is a documentary you have to check out. It's definitely worth watching and enjoying. Believe me, you will like it, and you will love it, and it will definitely show you stuff, even if you're a die-hard Ninja Turtle fan, that you didn't even know about. And it will surprise you. So that's my review. Hopefully not without giving much away, of the definitive of Turtle Power, the definitive history of TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Check it out. You will like it. And that's all I have to say. I'll talk to y'all later. Comment below, and I'm out.